one of the things that came out was at one point the Oath Keepers were bored waiting for Donald to invoke the Insurrection Act or the action that they were expecting. And that stuck out to me because these people had been planning for a violent insurrection for so long, and their sort of, rally talk or whatever you call it, the pep talk before the fight had been going on for so long that they were literally like waiting, lying in wait for the insurrection. They were just sitting there waiting and talking. And, there's, if you go to Ryan J. Riley's Twitter feed, you'll see there's this, what was presented evidence today, the route that these people took and what they were talking about. And they were ready to die for the lie. And what I found very striking about this, I want to point this out. You have to notice what Donald did is that he used a massive portion of duped people who believe in Fox News propaganda, people who wouldn't be violent at all, duped them, incited them, sent them to the Capitol, and in their midst, he had these elements of militancy and sedition going in stack formation. Stacks of people coming from one side of the Capitol to the other. And, it's just the coordination of it. And the whole time Stewart Rhodes is like circling the Capitol from one side to the other, trying to find what is the north side and what is the south side. Some similarities between Stewart Rhodes and Christopher Columbus there. I found that diabolical that Donald Trump used the mass majority of his supporters who were duped or believed the lies, were there to peacefully protest, as human shields and as plausible deniability and cover for the insurrection. That, another ancillary point here, that was twofold. There's the insurrection intent within Donald's mind and his speech and his actions before January 6th and what he talked to with Eastman and everything. And then there is the other intention of Stewart Rhodes independently saying that if Donald doesn't do it, we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. And that's why I suspect this case has been brought separate from any seditious conspiracy charge or insurrection charge that pertains to Donald Trump and January 6th. Because in the evidence, we hear that Eastman says that we will do this insurrection and rebellion if Donald doesn't invoke the Insurrection Act. That is just logically confounding and illogical because, either you're there to be part of a newly deputized militia by the POTUS who is there to quash the insurrection that is supposedly incited by Antifa, or you're there to cause the insurrection and be the instigator of the rebellion. You can't have both. And this is what Stewart Rhodes is doing here, flip-flopping and going and making both the arguments. So it's the Stewart Rhodes case is a slam dunk for the DOJ. It builds a huge evidentiary platform for going after Donald Trump, but there is this problem of direct evidence, the connections between Stewart Rhodes and how he specifically knew that Donald would invoke the Insurrection Act and deputize them. Was it Roger Stone who told them? Was it the Secret Service? And now there's also the element of diversion and deceit within the evidence that we have found. One thing you have to understand is that Roger Stone was being followed around by a cameraman doing a documentary with his consent. This man, who has been a master propagandist for decades, wouldn't do that and wouldn't say the words in front of those in that um, about that topic, wouldn't be in the periphery if he wasn't just saying and skirting things just enough to evade liability. But at this point, there's just so much, there's so many places that Roger Stone has his hands that Roger Stone's prosecution for seditious conspiracy is likely to come before Donald Trump's. Because then there's the Secret Service connections. Who in the Secret Service? Was it Tony Ornato? Was it Bobby Engel? These questions will come up. And you have to understand, and by the way, sort of side note, DOJ has now asked for 30 odd some extra $1 million to be able to pay for these prosecutions and investigations that are ongoing.